Next up on the Hooks in MMA podcast, we're lucky to have undefeated fighter Bellator. He's got a huge fight coming up on the 29th. Dalton, Hercules, Rosta. How's it going today, man?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you. So just speaking before, obviously fight week's coming up here. How have you been, leading up to this? How's the training been? How's everything going leading up to this big fight?
I mean, everything's been going good. At first, we had Romero Cotton, who was an Orthodox wrestler. So I was preparing a lot for that, using wrestlers, training with wrestlers in the gym like Johnny Eblin, Austin Vanderford, Gleason T-Bow. But last minute, about 2.5 weeks before Saturday, so about 2 weeks ago, I had an opponent change to Dwayne Johnson, who's a southpaw striker, so completely opposite of what I was preparing for. So I spent 6 weeks preparing for Orthodox wrestler, and then last 2 weeks I had to switch it up, prepare for a southpaw striker. But luckily, I had the bodies in the gym, the training partners, and obviously my coaches are high level, world class, and some of the best in the world. So they had me prepare well, and we adjusted and moved forward. And everything's been great with training recently, and just sharpening things up, and pretty much just worried about getting the weight off this next week.
Yeah. So just quickly, have you ever had an opponent change like that soon before a fight? And two, being such a diverse switch in the styles that you're fighting, how do you kind of alternate a game plan based on that?
So I've had Romero Cotton pull out of 2 fights before this, and the first one we were supposed to fight September 2020. Then he asked for it to be pushed back to October 29th. We agreed. And then about 3 weeks before that fight, so around roughly the same time, he pulled out, and Ty Gorder, another southpaw striker. And so kind of same exact situation, Orthodox wrestler, same exact person, pulled out, and a southpaw striker stepped in. So yeah, I've been in this situation before, and it doesn't bother me at all, because I train year round. Like I said, I train with the best guys in the world. I have the best coaches. I train at the best facility. ATT wins MMA gym of the year after year. So, it's not a big deal to me. I'm in shape. I'm prepared for anything that they put in front of me. I feel like I have a high fight IQ. I analyze film very well, and I study film a lot. So even though the opponent was changed, I feel like I know my opponent now like the back of my hand.
Awesome. Yeah. So obviously you 5-0 in Bellator. You can make it 6 here this coming weekend. Just quickly, growing up, did you play any other sports? What got you into MMA, and then at what age did you start kind of training?
So I played football my whole life from whenever I was a kid, but I dabbled in and out of boxing and wrestling when I was younger. And I started wrestling first at like 6 years old. Dabbled in and out of that. I ended up quitting at like 7 years old and got out of it until about high school. And then I got into boxing around 11 and jiu-jitsu around 12. And I was just doing those off and on until high school rolled around. And I was just worried about football and wrestling, training wrestling year round, just football during football season. And, that led me to wrestling in college first. And I transferred to play football at Youngstown State. And then after I got hurt my knee at Youngstown State, now I'm back to fighting MMA, jumped right back into the combat world. So it's been around my whole life.
Yeah, and it's worked out pretty well for you so far. And and a lot of lists, I don't know if you follow any of that stuff, but just a lot of lists are expecting some pretty big things with you moving forward. And I couldn't agree more with that based on previous performances. So just we kind of finish up with a between rounds segment. So I'm going to ask you a question. You give me your best answer, okay?
Okay.
Would your favorite sport other than MMA, would it be football?
Yes, sir.
Do you have a favorite NFL team?
Pittsburgh Steelers.
What do you think happens next year at quarterback?
I don't know. I think it's going to be a rebuilding year. Obviously, they're going to try and get Aaron Rodgers, but I don't see Aaron Rodgers talking about how he doesn't want to stay in Green Bay because it's going to be a rebuilding year. He's going to be in the same thing in Pittsburgh. So I think regardless of what they promise him, what they pay him, I don't think he's going to come,
Yeah. What about some favorite mixed martial artists of all time?
I think John Jones is probably one of the best ever. I think he is the best ever. So he would be up there. I've learned a lot of things from him, a lot of studying from him. Obviously, Conor McGregor. You know, I grew up. Conor McGregor like propelled this sport into mainstream audiences. You know what I mean? So love him or hate him, you know, you have to respect him.
Yeah.
So there's antics and stuff he's pulled recently that's made me, you know, kind of disappointed, you know, being a fan. But you know, I would say those two, and then obviously growing up, Brock Lesnar. You know, I was a WWE fan, watching him come over to UFC. That was fun too. Chuck Liddell, guys.
Yeah, so a couple of minor GSP and John Jones, but complete opposite personalities. And the same thing with Jones is what you said with Connor. Just, you know, he can't seem to stay clean, but let's hope he's on the up here. Favorite kind of music?
Probably country music.
Yeah, and do you have a favorite country music singer or band?
No, I mean, I like Luke Combs. I like Luke Bryan. I like Jason Aldean. You know,
Morgan Wallen.
I love Morgan Wallen.
Yeah, me
love
too.
Dustin Lynch. I mean, I can keep going on for days and days.
I'm a country fan as well. So any sponsors, shout outs, or social media before we finish up?
My social media is Dalton Rosta for Twitter and Instagram. And as for sponsors, I'd like to shout out my two main and two top sponsors, Aries Agencies and Scooter King. Like I said, they're my two biggest sponsors, and they've been around since the very beginning. I had plenty of others, which you guys will see in my banner and my shorts throughout the fight and on my social media as well. But I want to put the main focus on those two.
That's awesome. Yeah, so, you know, big fight coming up on Saturday. Doesn't matter about the opponent switch. We've had that happen before, and really looking forward to that card and your fight there. That fight is at middleweight, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so, you know, middleweight, obviously Vanderford's fighting Musasi coming up here, and really looking forward to seeing where you stack up in the coming fights, but obviously focusing on Saturday first. So good luck to you, sir. Excited to see that fight. Dalton Rosta, this is Hooks in MMA. Thanks so much, bro.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it.
No problem. You take care.
All right, you too.